Well, this is the first for me since I started this podcast 4 years ago, where I actually have to edit an episode. I did create this podcast to be unfiltered. We're talking no sugarcoating. We tell it as it is. And in this episode, we're talking about the realities of autism parents who are not getting the support that they need from the school, and the child is actually being rejected by the schools because of the additional attention the child requires. Now, when we recorded this episode, it was not for the intention of bashing the school that the child is in. It's actually quite the opposite. We're talking about the reality and the stress and the fear the parents go through when their children who are not developmentally ready to be in high school are now put in high school and told that they will have to be in a regular class. This is a reality that goes on worldwide. And once this episode aired, the school reached out to the mother a couple of weeks later, asking or kind of demanding to remove the episode, to delete the episode. They never contacted me directly. You know, the one who has the podcast, they never called me to ask to remove the episode. They're saying that it makes the school look bad. Now, I want to again make the point here that we were only talking about how the school is handling the situation. It's not to bash, we're just stating facts, events that actually happen. And we spent maybe 2 to 3 minutes tops in a 40-minute episode talking about the school. And then we moved on to the realities of parents and the fear that comes through with high school. So since this school did not contact me, the one who has the podcast directly, and contacted, actually requested a meeting with the parent and then told her to remove the episode because it made the school and the school board look bad. I myself, not the parent, but I myself take that as an act of intimidation. And this is why I am removing the video component of this episode in order to protect the child. We consulted with one of the therapists that the child works with. You will see in the episode the mother talks about the fact that she has 8 specialists working with her child so that she can support the school as much as possible and the school won't have any of it. So one of the specialists did mention that with this episode now and the fact that the school reached out to the mother and demanded a meeting, that this may cause further problems when the child reaches high school in September. So this is the only reason when I talk about when you work with me, we put the child's needs first. This is an example of the fact that for the child's safety and well-being at this point, I'm removing the names and the video component of this episode. And the reason why I'm not removing the entire episode, this is the second part before we move on to the actual recording, is that this is an international podcast. It streams on over 25 platforms in over 120 countries, and it reaches everybody across the world. This isn't an insulated suburban Ontario community here in Canada. This was a topic that is a reality for parents across the world. And the reason why I'm not removing it is, although this particular school chose to double down on their intimidation techniques, I've had some feedback from other families where listening to this conversation actually opened up positive collaboration with the schools. The schools, after hearing this podcast, realized that they needed to make some changes to make sure that their students, because it is their responsibility, that their students needed to feel safe and heard and seen and attended to in school. And so this episode actually had a positive impact around the world. And it's not because this one particular school is now being called out on their behavior that has been going on for years. I am not removing it. So I would ask for you guys, if you are listening and want to support these families. This is something that happens every day. It's not an insulated case. It happens across the world. I work with families in the States, in Europe, in Asia, in Australia, in Africa. It's continental. Families do struggle with uncooperative schools. So if you could show some love, like this episode, encourage the families through the comments, positive comments, to say, hey, we hear you. And just so we can show the world and show the schools that there is good that comes out when we get together on the same team for the benefit of the child. So with that, I'm going to leave you to this episode. For those who are on audio, you will only hear pauses when the names are mentioned. I've muted it. And for those who are watching on YouTube on the video, you're only going to see the sound waves so that we can protect this child. So this is real. This can't get any realer. And we did get pushback from the school, who chose not to cooperate and not take responsibility for their actions. So I'll leave you with that. Let's get to it. Are you good to go?
I'm good to go.
All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk to Danielle podcast. I am your host, Danielle C. Baker. And before we get started, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to whichever channel you're listening or watching from. And of course, this is season 4, so I do invite you to have a look at the 3 previous seasons. There may be some topics there that may resonate with your reality today. They are timeless, so go ahead and check those out. And this is I don't even know how to introduce this one. This is a long time coming. This is something, today's topic is really on something that I've been working on for maybe almost 20 years now. And some of you who follow me regularly will hear me talk about my day one, this family that first ever family that when we did get a diagnosis early on for a child that was on the spectrum, the parent just went, okay, what are we doing? There was no resistance whatsoever. Could have been some denial, but never showed it. I don't know. We'll let her talk about it. But it was just, okay, what do we need to do? I do need your support. How can we work as a team? How do we do this? And that just blew me away because I'd never had that experience with a parent before. So I am introducing you to my day one today, who has a beautiful family with her youngest having the diagnosis on the spectrum. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy to have you on today.
It's a be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We always have these conversations. We both share kind of our views on what needs to be changed in the education system. Clearly, it's not working. It's not working for the teachers. It's not working for the parents. It's not working for the students. And there's this resistance. Nobody wants to make a change, but there is a change. So we could talk about this for hours. We get very passionate about it and show our frustrations. And sometimes it's not fair, but there are some frustrations involved. So I will try my best to stay professional, but the listeners may hear us. We're not gonna, this is an unfiltered, I call it parenting unfiltered. We're just gonna talk the way it is. And I know going to share the realities. I work with many families who have these same issues. But before we get started about the challenges of families face with schools when it comes to what their children need in class and all that, can you talk a little bit about yourself, a little bit of how you got to where you are today?
Oh, God. General question.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, I'm a mom of 2. One with special needs. The other one's a social magnet. She's like on the go. She wants to become a chef, and she's all like, I'm ready to go. But my son, however, he's the one that has a lot of issues. So when I first got the diagnosis at the hospital, I cried, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And when I left the hospital, I'm like, okay, deep breath, let's go. And then I started research. Like, I didn't even know what autism was. And I'm like, research. And it never stopped after that.
Mm-hmm.
Questions?
Yeah, and that's the thing. We just, especially as parents, and what you just said, I hear from every family I've worked with is I had to do the research. There is nothing really. You get some information, a couple of pamphlets at the hospital or in the clinic that you're working with, but
Not
I,
even.
yeah, not even when you go
You're,
into the dig, yeah, you go into this rabbit hole of what is and what isn't, and you're dealing with the whole thing, dealing with your wanting to make sure your child gets everything that they need. And it's just so hard to decipher what is noise and what is reality and what is real and what is founded on data and not just opinions. So it's so hard. But I wanted to talk about this is because I mean we've had so many conversations about this lately, and it's just school and how your child is just, I'm going to flat out say it, it's just not supported for what they need. And we're talking here about children who have specialists, experts, write something that what the child actually needs to function in a traditional classroom setting, just little things that they need to be able to help them and to help the teachers. So we're talking about individualized learning plans or individual educational plan, depending on where you are. There's different initials for it. And you having to, because I've seen you, I've had your little one in preschool and getting them ready for kindergarten. And we knew there were some steps to follow and you were following them. We were seeing results, like we were actually seeing progress and going to school, having to explain everything. I would explain because I have a really nice uh, contact with the preschool or the kindergarten teachers, and it's the same. And then you just have to start over every year. It's the same school. The teachers know the child. They all have access to the file. But every year, it's like you're starting all over again for the simple, simple things that he just needs to have in the classroom that doesn't go out of anybody's way. Can we talk about this reality of parents who are just constantly having to start over and re-explain the same thing to make their child's life easier and the teacher's life easier?
I don't think it's ever going to be easier. Like
Yeah.
you think that the teacher would actually get, to read the IEPs or whatever form that
Mhm.
they're provided with, but they don't. And then they take like a week or two to like see the kid and get to know the kid. And then they're like, oh, well, I see something wrong with it. And then
Yeah.
they're like, okay. And then they get to know like the IEP. So what I do is I send the teacher an email saying how to learn about my kid, or like in French, it's bien connaître mon enfant. I'm mieux connaître mon enfant. And then I have to list everything. And I'm like, please, like at the end of my email, I'm like, please read the IEP. Like my
Yeah.
son's IEP is 27 pages. Like it's massive. And
Mhm.
he's like severe, you know, based on his executive function and stuff. He has it severely. And it's like the teachers are like, okay, well, we'll do our best we can. But I provide the strategies to help my kid and the whole class. And then they're like, I don't have time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, this could help your entire classroom. Like I
Yeah. And this is, I think, what a lot of people don't understand is it works for the child, but it also works for the entire class. And the time that you're spending putting out fires in the classroom because now you're getting meltdowns, you're getting behavioral issues that radiates into the entire class. The time that and energy that you're investing in this is a lot more than if you actually got what's the word I'm looking for? You got to know the IEP and to actually implement it. Because it's one thing to read it, but it's to implement it. And it's not something, it's just, where to sit him in class, where should his cubby be for like his personal belongings, where the water bottle should be, like, and then what to do, like, what are the warning signs if you think you're going to have a meltdown? What support does the child need? So it is that's the kind of message I keep trying to send is yes, it seems like a lot because, and again, we're not bashing on the teachers here. They're doing what they can. They don't have support. A lot of those teachers have these students that do require additional help, but the teachers themselves don't get additional help in the classroom. So there's a lot of work to be done there as well. But we're just talking about the basic needs that a child has or needs in class to function, and we're taking that away. You've had a situation too where it's just the tools that he needed to function in class were taken away as a punishment for behaving badly. Can you kind of go over what the implications that has for a child when
Uh,
it's like taking a wheelchair away from a child that is that can't walk to say, well, this is bothering me. It's taking me a lot of room in the class and it doesn't match the decor. So we're just going to take that
right.
away. Right. So it's just like,
Yeah.
can you talk about
Or like stop being lazy and get up and walk, like,
exactly, exactly. That's the one I use a lot. Yeah. Can you talk about the real implications of the child first? Because you see the change in your child when they come home. Um, on
yeah.
the siblings, on yourself, like the whole picture there.
Oh, like on really off days when there's absolutely no support, he's completely dysregulated. And
Hmm.
then just by him walking, you could tell by his face. And then the behavior changed. And then it's like uncontrollable, no matter what. It's like I don't know what to do. So most of the time we either go rock climbing or I give him some uh like a physical activity or just sometimes he's just going to voice it like I need my space.
Hmm.
So he is in a corner in his like, either room or on he likes to play on the stairs. So he plays on the stairs, but you are not to speak to him, to touch his toys or like to the bubble. And then when he's ready, then he's gonna come. And then he's gonna try and voice what's happened at school and stuff, but half of the time he has an issue that nobody believes him because
Yeah.
90% of the time the autism person will be blamed for anything, whether it's social behavior like communication or whatsoever, but they don't know how to express themselves and they think too late after like what happened. Like they've done
Yeah.
something like, oh, whoops, I shouldn't have not done that, but then they already got punished.
Yeah. And sometimes they're triggered by something else and now they get punished for it. So they go through this isn't fair. I'm not even the one who started this. And now I'm the one being punished. So it's very how can I say? I don't want to say toxic, but it's really not a healthy environment for a child. And they can't learn in that kind of environment if they don't trust the teacher, if they don't trust the kids around them, if they don't trust the people that they're supposed to trust.
Yeah.
That's not, you can't learn. You really can't learn in that environment. What is the one? I'm going to try to put a positive spin on it because again, I'm holding back right now, and you can tell because I'm stumbling on my words because I'm trying to hold everything back. But what do you think? What does a parent need to hear from a school when you have, in your case, an individual learning or a learning plan with 27 pages, and you've had, what is it, 6 years now, 7 years? Yeah,
Yes.
of
Oh yeah.
having to, the trauma that you're going through it. What is the one thing you wish you could have heard from day one from the schools about, getting your child into a classroom?
I'm listening to you.
Yeah, I
I
suppose.
hear you.
Yeah,
Let me find out information to help you out.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or just take the information you're giving them because you've done quite a lot of, yeah. And it just seems so simple, right? So it's just, what is it? And I'm going to put that out, and there's no answer for this, but for anybody listening who are in school settings, whether you're a principal, you're a teacher, a teacher's aide, or the ones making the decisions at the school board, why is it so difficult to just hear them out, hear the parents out, hear the child out? It's,
I get uh, I get a lot of like by other people saying, well, like teachers or whatever, saying that, it's the parents' responsibility to, to help the kid, to raise the kid. Like, I get that. Like I do my part. I go to like almost 5 days a week therapy session and I, I put some, but my kid is also with you for 8 hours a day. It's also your job to listen to my kid, try to, when there's an argument or a conflict, to listen to both sides of the stories. And
Yeah.
then you take on like a responsibility or like, a consequence or whatever based on both the kids and not just one. Because
Yeah.
I've seen with my son a lot of the time, they're not gonna listen to the other side of the story. They're just gonna, well, this is what I heard from you. So I had to remind the teacher and, some people at the school, well, have you actually listened to both sides of the story before you actually put a punishment? I don't agree with taking away recess. And
Yeah.
that seems to be a real, well, he did something. I understand punishment and consequence. I agree with that to a certain point, but to take away recess, absolutely not. I mean, you're taking a guy that's dysregulated already, take away his recess and, have him more dysregulated. Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. You're taking a child that has, and this, I'm not just talking about autism in general, but there's so many other cases
Yeah.
where the child needs to go out and release that excess energy, and you're
Yeah.
just keeping them in that just, yeah, it never made any sense to me either to say this child needs to go outside right now and release, and you're keeping them caged into a classroom with an adult who really doesn't want to be there either. They pick up on that, and you touched on such a good point there, that where I think a lot of the issues come from is school is up. You have to send your child to school.
I
It's
have no choice.
mandatory. But once your child is there, they don't, they're saying, well, maybe you should go to a different school, or, no, everybody's kind of passing that around, or it's your responsibility when, especially in your case, where you are doing everything and beyond what you're supposed to do as a parent to help the school. And now it's for the school to actually have a look and say what is not working in our school. And we're not just here to, shame people or blame people. It's there's something that's not happening in the school that the parent has no control over. So leave the parent out of that one. Do your part in figuring out how can we support the teachers that have students in their class that require more, um, and to be sure that we are helping those teachers and the schools to make sure that they can show up properly for the children as well.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. I had a discussion with a teacher once and they're like, well, my some of the students they don't understand. And I'm like, well, maybe like I understand there's a curriculum to follow, that's fine. Like, but maybe your class is boring. Maybe you need a certain like a different approach, like,
Mm.
teach the way that the kid needs to be taught, like just talking and sitting, raising your hands type thing, or there's other different
Mhm.
strategies you can implement to teach a kid a, a subject.
If you make it interesting, they're going to want to learn. I mean, the hyperfixations are an advantage here, So,
Yeah.
and I was one of those kids who did learn differently, but I was quiet. I didn't disrupt the class. So I can speak for everybody in that class to say if your class isn't stimulating enough to get the attention of the students who need the extra help, the entire class finds the class boring. They're just not saying anything about it. So there's something there that needs to be done. Because yeah, if your neurodivergent child cannot sit in your class, everybody else is struggling as well. So that's a hard pill to swallow, but that is the reality of it. We can't. And being on the other side, I haven't taught classes. It's not easier on you either when you keep resisting. If you actually follow the plan that specialists put together, that's what they do in their profession. It just makes your life a lot. It does take a little time to adjust to get rid of the bad habits and the old behaviors for the adults and the kids. But once that's done, it's just so much easier. And so why keep fighting to make your life harder? I just never got that. Um,
Yeah.
I, I want to touch on something because this is a reality that you're facing now. As I think, as especially as an autism parent, every year you're just surviving, right? You're just like the beginning of the school year, you're like, oh my God, what are we getting into? Because the child is growing. The child is not only going through the autism progression, but they're going through their biological progression as well. So there's some changes there that they're going through. Um, you don't think long term when you're in grade schools trying to advocate for your child every single day, but now you're in a situation where high school is coming up, and now the schools are saying, well, your child is not ready for high school, right?
No.
Or
So what I'm facing is like my son's in grade 6. He's going to be going in grade 7, but he has the mentality of doing a grade 3 modified, like he just started a grade 3 level. But apparently, based on the school board of education, my son is to go into a regular grade 7 class. And logically, that does not make sense. Like he can't do it. And then so when I went to the school he's supposed to be in, the principal told me well, I'm sorry, he's just going to have to survive it. And that did not fly good with me. And I'm like, absolutely not. No kid should ever survive school. It's supposed to be a safe environment so they
right.
can learn. So here I am fighting like, what are we going to do? And I basically walked myself in that high school and I asked a good like 8, 9 teachers, and all of them, they told me the same thing. He's going to die the first like 2 to 3 days of school. And I'm like, that does not help like my anxiety. Like,
Yeah.
they need a special like class just for them. Like, it's not isolating the kid or trying to make the kid sound different and stuff, but it's the reality is they need specific
Hmm.
class to learn. There's no shame in it. I mean,
Yeah.
some people are like,
No.
well, if you take away the kid, it's like isolating. It's not. It's executive function wise, they can't do it.
Yeah. It's like, again, if we're going back to the analogy of a child in a wheelchair, putting them in the sports specialized class and say, well, they'll just have to learn. It doesn't make any sense at all. And this is what bothers me. This is where my blood starts to boil. These are school boards who are publicly right now advertising inclusion in their schools and how of creating safe environments for their children. So when you hear anybody from the school tell you they'll just have to survive or they're going to die. Now we're talking inclusion does not include Hunger Games, right? It's just like, what kind of environment are you creating for your students? That's for every student, not just the autistic children. It's insane, and and it's getting worse. It's getting worse and worse. And I talk to teachers who are in high schools as well, and they're saying we can't we can't cope. Like it's just wild, and it really is though. It's like Hunger Game, and it's unbelievable that today, and this is the reality. So I want to kind of shout out to all the autistic parents there, or any divergent parent that has to deal with that because it's a reality, and those who are not subject to that, and they keep saying, "Oh no, that's not like that." No, it is. That's a reality of it. That a child that is at a level of a third grader going into third grade is going to be pushed into a grade 7 class with no assistance and
No,
just be like, all right, good luck for survival of the fittest. It's terrifying as a parent to have to do that.
no.
And
Especially when like they can't even self-regulate themselves.
no, no, that's so true. Yeah. And there's more than one child in that class that's going to be in the same level. So it's yeah. What oh, so many questions that are popping into my head right now. It's
Go
just like,
for it. Go
I
for
want
it.
you to, because I really want people to hear it from a parent who's living it right now. Um, what, hmm, hold on. I'll edit this part out. Because I want to ask, because now this is the reality, and there's more parents who like even if the child gets to graduate high school, it's like, okay, now what? Because we're getting the support right up through the school ages, but after that, they're on their own, and what else? Um, what is the best scenario you could picture for your child? What's the best scenario you wish you could find for a school that could really listen and hear what your child needs and provide that environment for them. What would that look like in that beautiful, perfect world, a make-believe
Like
world that we have?
a vision of like what a classroom would look like.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like a therapy classroom
Mm,
where like a Montessori, like, you learn how to play. Like my son cannot memorize things. Forget that. He has no like how do you say the fine motor skills, so he needs his technology and it's
yeah,
absolute must. And that is also an issue with school. Like, you know, they're still forcing him to write stuff. Like, where's his technology stuff? Like, we're
yeah.
preparing him for like the future, but yet you're not teaching him how to use the proper tools.
Mm,
But that's a
right.
different story. But if the settings were more like calmer or have access to more like a therapy session, like a small table or beanbag or like so many other like fine things that we could touch or uh, depending on like noise canceling headphones and stuff, that would be easier.
Right.
And then my son at one point, like you can give him technology and 30 seconds he would figure it out. And then he goes, "What is school for?" Good question. Like why are we going to school? If you can actually learn by, chat GPT and AI and like learning YouTube or whatever, why am I actually having to go to physical school and injure myself with a bunch of people that I can't even deal with, that it's giving me high energy and out of control and stuff.
Yeah, that is such a that's the
So like for my
centuries.
son,
Yeah.
he learns more in therapy session than he is in a full 8 hours of school.
And that takes a toll on a family because now you're doing the full almost 8 hours of school. And then after that, you go to therapy to learn how to actually do it.
Yeah, so it's like double the yeah. And then there's
Double.
no like people are like, well, he should be in tutoring more, like give him more tutoring or give him more this. I'm like, no, I can't. Like I can cram him like more information. It's not going to register like
Yeah.
based on his again executive function. He has no capacity. So he
That,
learns by playing and by doing activities and stuff. I mean, social. You go out and go like, museum or whatever. Here, that social check, like
yeah.
you read a
More
book by like, voice to text time. Like if he's actually able to answer question by what he actually listened to, then comprehensive, check.
right. Exactly. You can listen to your book. You can read
Yeah,
with your
audiobook,
ears.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, that is such a like more real life applications to what they're learning because in their world, this the school way is not no we don't function the way we learned in school anymore anyway. And so yeah, I like that. So it's not that hard. It's just give it the real application and give them the actual experience that they need to experience. And that goes for everybody. It's not like you have to do this with 30 kids, 30 different ways. It's just that one way that works for everybody and it just makes it easier. It's not that hard. You're not asking to change the entire world here. You're just asking
Nope.
to say, can my child learn the way that he can learn and
Safely. Yes.
safely?
Yeah.
Exactly. And it goes beyond that because I've seen it as well as a third party. I'm able to see that, but the entire class is affected by the way the schools are run because they
Yeah.
see how the difficult, if I could say, quote unquote, students are being treated by the adults there. They also don't feel safe because they're thinking that could just be me tomorrow. And then, teachers are saying horrible things about me. So the entire classroom doesn't feel safe, not because of the child's behavior, but because of the adult's behavior. And that's horrifying to hear as a parent, as a teacher,
Yeah.
as everything. Yeah. Um,
What also is hard is when you get like a message from the teacher saying, well, this parent from my classroom has a concern with your child. It's like,
mhm,
do you even, well, first of all, do you even know my child before you accuse my kid of doing,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, please learn my kid, you know?
yeah, yeah. I've had that happen so many times that the child becomes a target, and then the kids will blame They'll talk
Yeah.
about that child at home, and then the parents come and say that you need to do something about the child. And the child wasn't even at school today. So
Yeah. There was a
please
few
tell
times
me
that
what, yeah, who is your
that
kid talking about? Because that child has been sick all week. They haven't been at school, you know? Yeah.
that or when he's at school, like I had that issue happen to me a few times that the parents were in school and then getting their own kid when we used to be able to go inside school. And they're like, well, has this boy been in school today? And I'm standing right behind them. I'm like, yes. And I'm the mother. And then they're like, oh, it's sorry, but it's not like, but you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
constantly have to
Yeah.
have like
Yeah.
thick shoulders. And I'm like, okay, take a breath. And I'm like, try to educate them on something they don't know.
And you know that they know what they're doing because they changed the tune once they noticed you were there, right? So they know what they're doing. They just it's so if you had, I'm going to put you on the spot with this, like if you had a voice with the lawmakers and the decision makers to say, and they had to listen to you, right? Let's make it grand, right? Unlimited budgets. They have to listen to you. You get a say on how schools could be run for everybody. Um, how would you advocate for them? How would you, you know, uh, tell them your vision or what is actually needed for everybody involved?
Oh, I already have like stuff written down. Like
Great.
I'm going to the school board of education and I'm like, I think his name or something. I'm ready. I'm like, okay, well, based on like so many different kids with like disability, whether it's autism or whatever, you need like,
Yeah.
here's my list based on like, you know, conflicts and emotional like regulation and like your brain function development and everything, like application. This is what you need. And you get to learn also a bunch of stuff in therapy. Like I have 8 different therapists for my son. So pretty much all of their strategies are the same and
Mhm.
it works. So implement good strategies. It's not like it's common sense sometimes too.
Yeah, exactly. And you bring up a good point about common sense because when you're in a survival environment in the schools, the common sense doesn't happen. And this is the thing for teachers. They are just surviving just as much as the students are. And so yeah. And then again, it boils down, you have 8 professionals, specialists. That is like unheard of when it comes to children. And that's coming out of your pocket for everybody to know, because yes, we are in Canada, but no, not everything is covered. And so you're going through that and you're still being told as a parent that you're not doing enough when you have like 8 specialists telling other professionals how to make it easier for them to help this child succeed.
And
And yeah.
they are willing to go inside school to help them out. But it's the school that says no.
Mhm, mhm. And that's
And
when you know the schools know that what they're doing is wrong.
yeah,
Because if you wanted the help, if you really
you
were there for the children, if you were really for inclusion, uh, you'd have the extra help. You know, it's not costing you a penny, it's costing the parents the money. Why would you say no to free help? So yeah, oh, there's so much I could do. We're gonna have to have you on again because I think the topic of the reality of parents, it's okay, you know, you can survive somewhat in grade school, but I think like in the States, when you go into junior high and us, we don't have junior high anymore. We just go straight to high school. But it's that reality of it's already terrifying as a parent with a neurotypical child to send them off to high school because then you're like, I have no control over their environment anymore. You know, it's not as controlled as it is in grade
yeah,
school. So I'd love to bring that up again and see like the progression on because you're stuck. Like let's flat out
I
say
am.
right now you're screwed because none of the schools, the school that your child is in right now, saying, "Oh, it is what it is," and then the school that's welcoming the child said, "Well, good luck with that." You know, we're taking
I
your
mean, the
child because we have
principal of
to.
the high school, yeah, is
Yeah,
saying good luck. I'm like,
good
for
luck.
a principal, like, please help me out.
Exactly. And it's just like we're only basically they're saying we're only taking your child because we're required by law to take your child, and we're just gonna wait until it gets unbearable for him to be able to say, well, your child needs this school doesn't work for your child, so we'll just bounce them around, you know?
Yeah.
And
That's it. That's not right.
it's not right. That's not
Not right.
education.
No.
That's just not education. So no, but oh yeah, so we're definitely gonna have you on to be continued with. And if there aren't any parents out there that are listening who are going through the same struggle of saying, I can't trust the high schools with my child right now, but you're stuck. You have to, homeschooling is not always a privilege for families. So again, what do you do from there? If anybody knows, if they've gone through it already, if they've already lived through it, they can share some, please add it to the comments or contact me and we could have that conversation so we can help and support the families who are about to live that reality in September, but also any teachers or professionals out there who may be able to support families a little bit more with some advice or, other support that they can have for that. But before we leave, you could give maybe share some words of wisdom. And we're only giggling because we've known each other for so long, but words of wisdom to parents who are living your reality right now, that are going through this. They don't, they just feel like they're not being heard, they're not being listened to, and they're just on the verge of giving up.
Right.
What would be your message to them?
For me, there's always a way,
Mm,
and I'm determined to find it. So stopping and quitting is not an option. And there is like a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's
yeah,
to remain positive and just keep searching and asking questions.
yeah,
Like I sometimes I'm afraid of asking questions because I find like I don't want to just, be weird or be stupid or whatever, but there's like absolutely no way you can be those two things. So it's
yeah.
important, I think, to be loud.
It is so because you're the only one who's being loud at that point for your child. And I can say too, your child notices as well. So it allows them not to give up because they know that in a world where everybody's giving up on them, there's a solid person there for them. So I love it. Thank you for sharing. Yes, keep being loud. Somebody will hear you and be willing to help. So if you heard this today and you are able to help in any way, contact us or add in the comments so we can share, help, and support a community that really needs it. Underserved and unseen community. It's really important. Thank you for joining me. Again, I could talk to you for hours about so many other things, but I think this helps, especially with this new reality of schools saying, yeah, we don't want your child and we're not going to do anything about it to support you. And parents who are doing everything else on their part and still being turned down. So thank you. And I just love that Peanut just joined in at the last minute there. For those who are just listening and not watching, the dog just popped up there. It's just perfect timing, Peanut. You're just like, I'm doing my cameo appearance there. Thank you so much. And I'll have people contact me. They have access to all of my contacts there. If there's anything that can help you, if you know of anything that can help family and the other families that are listening, to reach out and we'll make sure to pass that information around. And if you're a teacher or a school, a principal, a school board, head of something, please listen. Listen. That's all you need to
I
do
think we're
right now.
going to have to just go in front of the school board. And I think they're so old that they need new people.
Right? We need a cleanup. Yeah, I do believe
Yeah.
so. Yeah. We're dealing with a system that's probably a
A
thousand
hundred
year
and
old
something. Yeah.
that hasn't worked for hundreds of years and we're still holding on to it for some reason. I don't get it, but
Me.
we need to have more of these conversations. I know a lot of people are relating to this right now, and I do invite everybody to keep having those conversations. Keep showing up at your school. Keep questioning the decisions that are being made for your child, and keep standing up when you're being told that as a parent you should be doing more. To say, I have done everything else that needs to be done is for you to do now. It's out of your jurisdiction. So yeah, the only other thing they can do is put you guys in charge.
I'll do it.
Yeah,
Give me a job.
vote for Vicky. A lot of people are going, no.
No, but my dream is to build a safe place for them.
Yeah,
That it would be my dream.
yeah,
Just so they
that's,
can learn safely at their own pace and stuff. It's like cramming the information that's like super fast speed that they can't just
yeah.
comprehend.
At least to give them something that they have, you know, a foundation for them to have as they grow older. But yeah, that's one of my dreams too, is to get those safe places for everybody, not just for certain people.
Well, yeah.
And for the teachers. The teachers need a
Yeah.
safe space too. So I love it. Thank you so much for Darren. And we're gonna have another conversation sometime this summer just to see what we're doing. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
for everybody that is listening or watching, if that resonated with you in some way or another, please give us some love, give us a like, share to families who are going through it. That message needs to go around, and let's do some good for our kiddos. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to whichever channel you're listening or watching from. And until next time, stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll talk soon.